Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to CSCI 210. Today we will talk about variables. Now, what you have here is you have what we used to try to remember stuff back before there was computers. We had a string around the finger. The idea is we would see the string around our finger and remember why we tied the string around there. Of course, it didn't do any good if you forgot why you tied a string on your finger to start with, or if you had more than one thing to remember. Okay, program variables. Now I know you're thinking about variables, and some of you are having flashbacks to algebra. That's not quite what we're talking about here. To quote George Carlin, a variable is a place for your stuff. If there's something in the program that you have to remember, you got to make a storage location for it. And just like you have different storage for different stuff, like you have the dishes that go into the kitchen and the car goes in the garage, and it doesn't do well if you put the car in the kitchen or the dishes in the garage. You have different storage for different types of variables. And it depends on the language, it depends on the data type. Now, some of the variables you have is you have a counting number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have an integer, which is that counting numbers plus 0 and minus 1, minus 2. And you have decimals like 3.14 and things like that. You also have variables that can be true or false. That's used in if statements a lot. And you have character variables. You can have a character variable, which is a single character, like A through Z, or you can have it on strings, such as character. Now, dates used to be we just had a simple date. Then they have you also had a time variable. Now you have a date time variable to the nearest second. You can have actually one to the nearest milliseconds. Now, for the languages that track these, if you use the wrong date type of variable, it clenches its feet and stamps its fist, and it just walks off on you. Common error types of mismatches, and I did a non-computer answer to this. Have you ever had a type of person that you ask them what their favorite color is, they'd say plaid? Well, that really doesn't answer the question, does it? Now, a computer would say error, expecting color. Or you ask them, when will you have your project finished? I heard that a lot when I was working in engineering group. And this is the type of language I would get, except it's much, much shorter and much more to the point. And I felt like saying error, expecting date. Okay, are you ready to go to the store? That's a yes or no question. This is not a yes or no answer. So you could say error, expecting Boolean. Now, let's look at the type of variables we have in Block 5, the language that we use. Okay, this first line, any customer can have a car painted any color they want so long as it's black. That is a quote from Henry Ford about the Model T. MBlock only supports numerical variables. It doesn't support character variables or date variables or anything like that. Now, for our program, we don't have to get for Lambda. So what we'll do is we'll say 0 is false and 1 is true. That's not an uncommon way of doing that, by the way. We do that in a lot of other languages when we want to represent a Boolean variable because they don't have a Boolean variable as such. Okay, now that we've got the theory out of the way, let's go write some code.